Guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I want to discuss with you the 5 things you should consider before purchasing the Orphek Atlantic V4 Gen 2. Guys, so before I get to the top 5 things you should think about before purchasing this light, let me just give you the top 3 things that I like about this light. So the first off is that the light spread is pretty evenly and well distributed because the LEDs are not clustered into one small little section. So they're all spaced out, so the coverage is actually pretty even across the tank. Second thing is that I only utilized 2 Orpheks for this setup here. This is a Red Sea Reefer 625 XXL, so it's about 25.5 inch deep and 60 inch long. And so 2 of these are adequate enough, but if I wanted to, I could add 2 light bars, and based on my setup here, I do have 2 light bars, but those are currently off, and I could run them if I needed to. But anyhow, first off, good light spread. Second, I only need 2 for the setup. And if I was going with something like the Radions, I would probably need 3 to 4, depending on the type of corals I want to go, but more likely 4. So it does require less units. The third thing is Orpheks offer about 15 to 16 different light spectrum. So they have different types of LEDs in here, which I think is a great thing because it mimics the sun as much as possible with more spectrum. So that's the top 3 things I like about this light. Now here are the 5 things that you should consider when purchasing this light. Alright, number 1, construction. This unit is pretty heavy, especially if you have 2 units, they are really heavy. The tank mount that is made for this Orphek here, it's pretty big and sturdy, but I wouldn't recommend you mounting it onto a very thin glass. So honestly, I think you have to mount it onto something that's 3/4 of an inch thick, just for peace of mind, because the light is pretty heavy, and if you were to mount it on just that back glass, I think it'll hold up, but personally, I'm just afraid it might cause more problems later down the road. The other thing is the mounting stand requires a good amount of glass in the back for it to mount on, so you would need some clearance in the back to actually mount one of these things. But for my setup here, I actually have it hung, and I think that's the best route for these lights. If you look at the lights, me personally, I think they could have done better in the form of craftsmanship here. I mean, some of these materials here are nice, but the way they fit, they kind of have, I feel like it wasn't, the tolerance just wasn't that great. So this mesh here, the screen mesh in the middle here, the silver screen mesh, is not really flat. So they try to flatten it out, and you can see that it's kind of wavy throughout this long 24-inch length here. So that it's probably something very small, but to me it just it does bother me a bit. So I think about the construction of this unit here and its quality. Now the other thing is these lights are made to order, so when you order them from Orphek, someone actually assembles them and put them together. So I kind of thought it was weird that they saran wrap everything. So when you get your unit, it's all saran wrapped. You open it up, and it's kind of odd that there's fingerprints and there's just who knows what on it. So I kind of like it, preferably machine built and assembled. That's just one of my pet peeves. I mean, this is very small, it's nothing. But even like the gateway itself, when I received my gateway, there were blemishes on it, there were scratches on it, and it kind of looked like it was used. But theoretically, from what I'm told, they actually do test them out to make sure they work. So I'm assuming the guys during production had to assemble it, set it up, make sure it worked before he shipped it out. So maybe that's why, but I just kind of thought that was weird. All right, on to number 2. So there's 16 different LED light spectrum, which is all great, but one of the downfalls is that you only get 4 channels. So if you wanted to do something custom with your lights or to achieve a certain spectrum, you're pretty much stuck with the 4 channels that you have. Channel 1 is pretty much white, channel 2 is blue, channel 3 is violet, and then channel 4 you have a mixture of red, orange, and yellow. Alright, so here's number 3. One of the things that I wish they would have done is to incorporate the gateway into the units. So I know AI had their own director and Radions have the ReefLink, but even these 2 lights nowadays offer a Bluetooth connection or some different form of connection that doesn't require the actual or another unit on the side. One of the other things about this gateway is that when I have it on, it makes a buzzing noise. So I don't know if you can tolerate with that, but I have it inside my cabinet, and even with that door or the front door closed, I can still hear the hum and the buzzing. So to most it might mean nothing, but to me I can hear it. So I usually have it turned off. I don't do any controlling after programming the unit. Alright, number 4, which is the phone app. So when you go download this phone app, and I'm running this in my Android, I am not sure how it is with the Apple because I don't have an iPhone, but with the Android, the app is kind of buggy. So one of the issues that I run into is that I can't really program my lights without first going into the manual mode, fiddling with the manual mode, and then going to the program mode so that I can make adjustments and program it. The other thing is that my lights aren't in sync, so I don't know, that might be something small, but one light comes on in the morning first, and then the other one's got a delay, and then at nighttime the one that came on first is the first to shut off, and then the other one turns off. And so there is a delay, and I've tried to set the time and program them both at the same time, but I think it's something in the timing when it's programming both units, and that it's not programming them at the same time. So that is probably why one comes on first and then the other one comes on afterwards. Now, if you know how to resolve this issue, please let me know in the comment section. I like to know so I could get mine resolved. The other thing is when you're making adjustments, I was having an issue with setting up programs within my app and then trying to determine which one it was that was sent to the lights. So you'll have to just remember which settings you've used before, and then you'll have to make adjustment in that program setting, save it as something new, and then upload it to the light. Alright, and then here is the last thing, number 5 for me, is that these lights are pretty expensive. So they're at around $1,100. Now, if you have the patience and you want to wait till around November or Black Friday, you could get them as low as around $900. But this is still pretty expensive at worst case $1,100, best case $900. I think they are still expensive for lights. The other thing that kind of bothers me that's not on here, or that is not on my top 5 here, or 5 things here to think about, is the actual antenna. Now, I think they could have done better and made it internal. If you can tell on my unit, I don't have it plugged in. To me, I just think it looks better and more timeless without the antenna on it. Anyhow, those are my 5 things that you should think about before purchasing this light. If this is something that you notice yourself because you own the lights, share your experience and comments down in the comment section below. If there's anything else that you would like to know that I can possibly share, feel free to ask them in the comment section, and I will be more than happy to answer them. Likewise, guys, thanks for stopping by and being on this journey of mine. If you have any questions, feel free again to leave it down in the comment section below. If you want to follow me, go ahead and like and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next video. Thanks.